Welcome to the Shambles United podcast. This is your host Pranav Shahaney. This is actually episode number one, but if you heard our introduction episode, then it's episode number two. We are glad to all of you guys for your endless support. We are glad for some of you guys who've come back after listening to our first episode. We've loved all your feedback. We've loved everything that you all have given us so far, and we hope that we can add some of that in our coming episodes. So let's just get started. And this is episode number one. Like I said, the episode is about David de Gea. But before David de Gea, we will also speak about United's game against Granada. It was a good victory. And we'll also then later towards the end of the episode, we'll also talk about our game against Spurs on Sunday. So let me introduce my guest today. Karan Advani has joined us again from last episode. We have Giri Harish with us, and we have Jomy KJ also joining the house. So it's three of us. It's four of us actually. So let's get started. Let's first talk about the Granada game. Karan, what do you think? What do you think about the game? What do you think about the performance?
Oh, I'm really satisfied with the result. Two away goals, never had to get past second or third gear, and was fairly smooth. Only worry is the suspensions, because the refs seem to really enjoy shedding out his cards the other day.
Absolutely. I mean, it was pretty shocking to see the number of yellow cards that were dished out. And if we didn't have a two-goal lead, I would probably be a bit nervous going into the second leg. But I think a two-goal lead is pretty comfortable when we have two away goals. So I think even if we get one more goal, the result will be beyond doubt. What do you guys think? I mean, do you guys feel any nerves going into the second leg?
Well, with respect to the second leg, right, it is actually nice. We have a little suspensions over there because you're like and the 2-0 away goal, like the two away goals which we have, that will be a platform for other players to test out the respective positions. Maybe Alex Telles on the left back, or you can probably bring in Fred over there in the midfield. So like just that our players have to be a little more cautious in the second leg, but we do have a platform to defend with, and two away goals depends on who will be at the back and who's going to keep, and as who will be starting at the defense. So there are a lot of things which would be running around Ole's mind right now, but I'm actually satisfied with the result. The performance could have been better, especially from our midfield creation and the creativity. It was pretty bad, I would say.
Mhm.
And we had to wait for a through ball from Lindelof, although he has been doing pretty well. But yeah, when you have Bruno and Pogba in one particular lineup, you expect more shots on target and more chances created on the line. And that too against a team like Granada, which has been conceding a lot in the respective league. And I guess they just lost 2-0 or 3-0 against Villarreal in the past weekend before playing against us. So yeah, could have been better, but satisfied with the result.
And Jomi, after watching the game, was there anything about our game that you were impressed by? Any players or any tactical changes that Ole made for that game?
Mainly, I was impressed by the Lindelof's pass to Rashford,
Yeah.
which he scored, and the we have a two-goal lead. It's actually, I think, away advantage, if I'm not mistaken.
Hmm.
It's a really good thing, but yeah, I'm a bit worried about the back line because Maguire is like currently the best CB we have right now. Not the best in the PL, I would say, but accordingly for our needs, like what we have.
Yeah.
But it may be a platform maybe to test to Anzabi or maybe in a CB which Ole may experiment with. But we have to be careful. I would say like that.
Yeah, I think Tuanzebe should be getting a start. He's impressed whenever he's given the opportunity. I mean, he's not been obviously at Maguire's level, but I'm sure that with a few games under his belt, he could get better. And I'm really hoping that next season too, he plays a bit more than he has this season, because I think he's been Mr. Reliable for Ole whenever we've had any injury crisis. So I think he's one of our unsung heroes of the season.
Also on that front, right, on testing out other players in different positions, maybe Van de Beek can get a start, like which we are expecting to go through, and maybe he can have a good game. And with the heavy run of with the tight schedule which we have over the next month, and coping up with Premier League and Europa League, it would be helpful if he can gain his confidence more, playing in that small roles. Instead of playing in that small roles, he can actually start and put up a good performance home against Granada.
Absolutely. And speaking of the Granada game, I think it's a good way to segue into David de Gea. It was the first game he had started in 7 games. So what did you guys make of that decision? What do you guys firstly think? Do you think that against Spurs it's going to be David de Gea, or do you think we should go back to Dean Henderson? So I'll let any of you take that question.
Oh, I hope Henderson gets a start at the weekend, because he's been given a run of games and he has kept 5 clean sheets out of 7, if I'm not wrong. Barring the one mistake that he made, I feel he's been really solid with his distribution, with his shot saving. And in fact, speaking of his shot saving, he has a save percentage of roughly 80%, which is the highest in the Premier League.
Yeah,
Which is
he actually has a save percentage of 84, and if you compare that to De Gea, it's 67.5. So in that category, like, he's really doing well.
Yeah, so it turns out it comes down to around an extra save for 5 shots, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And overall, I feel he's taken his chances. He deserves to start at the weekend, and was really pleased with De Gea's performance on Thursday. He wasn't troubled a lot, but that's like, it was still good enough for him. He needs to adjust to his role as a second keeper now, but he seemed to be quite jolly with it.
Yeah, Harish, what do you think?
Yeah, so some of the thoughts which Karan had put up was like quite, like it was quite courageous, I would say, and bold. Naming De Gea as the second keeper, or probably the one who would come off on Europa Leagues and your FA Cups, and starting Dean Henderson throughout now. Well, on those front, and also considering the save percentage, yes, Henderson does have a higher volume of saves, or probably higher percentage of saves. I won't say higher volume, but he has a higher percentage of saves over there. And also you have to consider the fact the number of games he has played and against the teams, if you are considering the entire save percentage over there. Playing 10 games on a whole and saving like 8 shots out of 10 which you are facing, that would not be comparable when you are actually considering the number of games they have played and the shots he has been facing, and with the defense and the changes and everything put together. So there are a lot of variables involved when you're comparing the shot save percentage on a whole. Also, the 7 games which Henderson had started, De Gea was on a personal, De Gea had left on a personal reason. It was his, I guess, his daughter's, I guess he had a daughter, right? So it was on a personal note, and 7 games, that too, these 7 games are on a very hectic schedule. It was between, like, I guess 3 or 4 weeks, like probably within a span of a month. And we exactly cannot compare the experience which De Gea has over Henderson. No, I'm not ruling out how good Henderson is, but considering the experience which De Gea has and the level he has been performing throughout for us, especially over the past 5-6 years, De Gea any day over Henderson.
But I think
I agree.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree with all the things that you're saying. Definitely, De Gea has started roughly 20 of our Premier League games, and you couldn't directly compare both Henderson and De Gea in the Premier League. But a couple of aspects that we haven't been talking about is, number one, De Gea's distribution, which in all honesty is horrendous. His decision making when it comes to playing the pass between the lines, something that keepers like Ederson or Allison play really well. De Gea's decision making with his passing is really poor. And secondly, one of the things that has gotten worse with time, especially after the 2018 World Cup, is how he coordinates with his backline. He fails to organize his centre backs, and he is really poor on collecting his crosses and is really weak. So this is something that doesn't seem major, but when you have a couple of centre backs, out of which One is Lindelof, whose aerial prowess is really poor. He might be feeling really confident to have Henderson behind him, who he knows would come and collect a few crosses. So that's something that we don't consider. But overall, speaking of De Gea, he is a club legend. He's won everything at the club on an individual note. And there's no doubt about what he's done for the club. But having said all of these things, I feel it's time for Henderson to take up his position in the team.
Hi. I think actually mainly, yeah, Henderson is the future. De Gea did a lot for the club. He is a legend. I will not argue that. But I have soft point towards De Gea because single-handedly he had saved us many seasons. Single-handedly, like there were seasons like we were like he was the only person who like we thought, okay, because of whom like we will not lose this season out. But yeah, right now Henderson is the future. I will say like that.
I mean, whenever we talk about De Gea, obviously we know that under Louis van Gaal, he was the one who bailed us out, and even in Jose's first season, he was a player of the season. But I don't think that we can make that argument for today, because if you look in terms of today, Henderson is definitely the better keeper, and if he is the future, I think we are building towards the future. And Ole has gotten really young players. He's promoting players from the academy as well. So I think it's the perfect time for someone like Henderson to become the first choice number one. And I think with De Gea, we might not be able to get a transfer fee for him if we sell him next season or something. I think this summer is our best chance to get something out of him. So if the club, if they are smart in the transfer market, I think we should cash in on David De Gea, because I feel after that we are probably going to miss out on a glorious opportunity to sell him, because I don't think he's getting any better, and he's still making a lot of errors. So maybe he's a good presence in the dressing room, but I don't think that in terms of his goalkeeping, he's any better than Henderson.
What about his wages? Who can afford his wages?
Well, I mean, I don't know. There are people who paid who took Alexis Sanchez's wages from us. So maybe we might have someone who takes David De Gea. Maybe he wants to go back to Spain. If if Oblak leaves Atletico Madrid, maybe they can have him back. If Keylor Navas is on his way out, PSG can have him too. So these are clubs who can really afford his wages. And maybe if he wants to play at the highest level, he can take a pay cut. We've seen players do that in the past. And there does seem like a player who wouldn't be satisfied being number two to anyone. So let's see what he does. Maybe he might consider a move away from the club. What do you think about it, Harish?
Yeah, so like I kind of agree to like most of your points, Pranav, and even Jomy, and also the points which Karan had put up, being Henderson being the future of the club right now. Yes, agreed. Henderson, he might be the future, but right now we are talking about the present. And with respect to that, De Gea, yes, he would have made some errors over in the past 6 months, or probably in the past year. And Karan, just like you had mentioned with the 2018 World Cup, so 2017-18, he won the Golden Glove. I guess he had kept the most clean sheets in the Premier League, and one of the main reasons for that is that we had a stable backline. The two centre backs were we had the same pairing, and our defense was pretty tight. And it was Jose Mourinho's season, if I'm not wrong, where we finished second behind City, who had an incredible run of games in that season. But yeah, with respect to all these stats and everything, yes, he got a little nervous, or probably having his first World Cup and everything, he lost his way probably. But then his reflex, his saves, and yeah, his decision making might be a little weird sometimes. Like he makes few errors on that front. His distribution, what it was before, has now it has improved drastically, I would say. And at the same point of time, starting from the back, playing out from the back, to be honest, none of our defenders are actually capable to do that. So that in turn puts up a pressure on your keeper to either clear the ball out or trying to make the right pass and throw the ball away. lose possession in that terms. I personally don't think neither Lindelof or Maguire are capable of starting to play from the back over there, especially with given their passing range and also their ball control. So on that front, playing from the back, yes, obviously that would lead to a lot of errors if you are considering how our defense is built on that. And with respect to the errors which he has been making, yes, I'm furious about it. And like being one of his ardent fans since he joined the club, like since when Sir Alex signed him, yeah. So those errors are really making me furious. But the amount of effort he has put in over the past 5-6 years, or probably past 7-8 years, keeping us relevant, making all those saves, and still making all those saves over the during the game, and his experience on big games would matter a lot till the time Henderson develops into a much more mature keeper. I'm not saying that is not down the that is not far down the lane. It might be around the corner, probably next year or the year later, the year after. Henderson can start up, but maybe you can slowly phase De Gea out if you want. But treating him like this right now, making him second choice out of nowhere, that's not the right way to treat a club legend. That's my point.
Actually, I want to put forth a question on this. Like, as fans, do we have a fear that if we give prominence to De Gea more, will Henderson exit the club? Just a question. But yes,
He definitely would. He definitely would, because if you look at Henderson, he's a 23-year-old. He has the body frame to be a top-class goalkeeper. He's tall. He's really strong. He has Premier League experience. He has been playing in the Europa League and has a really good reputation. I'm certain that there would be a lot of clubs in England and potentially outside of England who might want to swoop in for Henderson. Although Henderson is a die-hard Man United fan, he's come in from the academy. He's always said that he wanted to make 400, 500 appearances for the club. But as if we think of it from his perspective, he has no incentive to stay at a club as a second choice keeper. He would either have to go out on loan, which I'm not sure which he would want to do for the fourth time. He went to Shrewsbury, he went to Sheffield for 2 years. You might have to send him for the fourth season on loan, just because you want to keep De Gea between the sticks. So I don't see any incentive for Henderson to stay at the club. And if I was Ole, I had to prioritize keeping a potential keeper for a decade or stay loyal to a club legend. Well, at the end of the day, it's a big club. We need to make difficult decisions, and it would be better to prioritize keeping Henderson at the club.
And it's not like
Karan,
it's not like we can't phase out our legends. Like we did the same with Rooney. Towards the end of his career, he wasn't first choice. We did the same thing with Neville. We did the same thing with Giggs. So they were not first choice until their very last game. There were very few players who till their last game played every game. So I think that's the same thing we have to do with De Gea. And if he's fine with being a second choice keeper, then so be it. But I don't think he will be, and I don't think Henderson will be. So like Karan said, that Henderson's going to be at the club for a number of years, while De Gea might just be for a couple of years. So I think if we have the opportunity to cash in on De Gea, even though he's a club legend, we have to realize that the club is run like a business, and De Gea still has that name, and he still might have some suitors in Europe. So I think that this summer is really important in terms of getting rid of De Gea.
Yeah, so Pranav, I would agree to one of your points where you mentioned like how we phased out many of our club legends and they did not play till they were not the first choice till their respective last game, right? Yes, we should be focusing on a similar approach if we are going to phase out De Gea and bring in Henderson as a first choice keeper. But at the same point of time, just like you mentioned, keeping his contract length in mind, I guess he has one more year in his bag, and after that he'll become a free agent, if I'm not wrong. So if he's interested in signing for a new contract with the same amount of wages, then it would be fine. But at the same point of time, if he's not ready for it, then yes, we can sell him off. Sell him off to a better club or wherever the whoever is a good suitor for him. But the way we are treating him right now, that is what I am concerned about. Yes, he's a club legend, and the loyalty and time duration, everything matters. Henderson being one of the brightest prospects right now, and he might even stay at United for more than 10-15 years, or even till he retires, based on whether he's provided the number one spot within 1 or 2 years. That particular condition over there, that kind of that is kind of not the right way for any athlete or a player or a professional player to go about it. So you are 23 years old, you are getting your chances. It's not like you are not getting your chances. Phasing out doesn't mean that you will be played only in like 10 10 games in a 10 games in an entire season. Yes, maybe you can go with 50-50 percentage of the games, or even play uh, Henderson, or like play De Gea in much more important games, and then play Henderson on other respective games. Like gradually, you can bring it out like over the next month, and maybe you still have time till next December, till when the actual transfer window opens up and he becomes um, you know an unrestricted free agent. So till that, you have a lot of suitors to go about for if you want to sell off the air. But yes, if you are actually thinking to sell him off on the basis that you have to keep Henderson right now, Henderson might leave on that part. That is not the right approach to go about. That is not the right approach to go about a player who has been saving our saving our team for more than a decade, probably close to a decade.
So what do you guys think about that?
I would like to respectfully disagree, but I just feel that we need to keep Henderson at the club at all costs. That's all I'll say.
So then now comes the big decision, because we play Spurs, really important game. Who do you guys go with? Do you guys think he's going to stick with De Gea, or you think he's going to go back to his Premier League team from last weekend and or take Henderson again?
The fact that he stuck to Henderson for the Brighton game and played De Gea in the Europa League, it does give a subtle hint on what is on Ole's mind. So I have no doubts that Henderson starts that game.
And do you guys agree with it, Jomy and Harish?
I would think he'll stick with De Gea, given that it's against Spurs, and given the fact that City had already lost their game, so it is probably a chance to still trying to catch up with them and try to save the sinking ship over there. And with given how important this game would be, his experience would prove a lot, and that will be very useful for this particular game against Tottenham.
I mainly think that since in Brighton game Henderson started and De Gea was not opted for the first choice, so I think maybe Ole may pick Henderson. But the reason I think that because De Gea's Granada game was the first game after he came back after his daughter's birth, so I think he may go for Henderson. I would prefer De Gea, but it's all Ole's decision.
Even I think that Henderson is going to start. I feel that he's going to play all the games in the Premier League while De Gea plays the Europa League games. I think that's the best way to do it. And next season maybe we might have more clarity in terms of who is our number one keeper. And just generally, how do you guys see this game going against Spurs? Because I'm not really sure what to expect. We look like we are in good form, and then suddenly we play Spurs and things just go bad. We saw in the 6-1-2, it looked like we were hitting a good run of form, and then that result came. Do you guys see an upset victory, or do you see us just cruising to victory against Spurs?
See, Spurs. Last time I think we lost 6-1 to them, right?
Yeah.
If not mistaken. So, and it's a Moreno's team also. So it would be a difficult team to break into, like low block teams. Like Moreno is very hardcore defensive type of guy, the way I have seen. So it will be difficult, depends upon how our midfield and for strikers play. And I am a bit worried about the back line.
So if I was to ask everyone for a score prediction, what would you guys go for?
I'm going to be a little bold and say that United win 3-1.
I will go with 2-1, and we are going to concede first. 2-1 United.
I would be happy with 1-0 for United.
I would say it's going to be a draw with United conceding first, but we would have most of the chances and we would win on XG. But I just think that it's just going to be a draw, a 1-1 draw. And Manchester City lost to Leeds United today, so does that mean the title race is back on if we win? What do you guys think?
It's still a long shot, and it's Pep's team, and like we all know how he started. Like we all know about the players who started this game, and he has more important games coming up with the Champions League second leg against Dortmund, and so that might also be a reason. And probably he knows that this is a lead which he can protect. So he doesn't mind with one game losing just 3 points over here, and I guess this lead is still intact at 16 points, and very. So it's a long shot. It's a long shot.
Yeah, I don't think City throw this title away, because if you can go back to the 2018-19 season where Liverpool and City went to 100 points and 98 points, if I'm not wrong. City had a lead of barely a couple of points, and Pep went on a run of 7 to 8 consecutive Premier League victories in the end, where he was scraping through wins. I think that was the company season where he scored the screamer against Leicester. So if there's one thing that Pep Guardiola knows, it's how to win titles. And this is it's a minimalistic chance where United could pip City for the title.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I would say City would win the title, but I would say that we will. We're not lost. We are lost, as Bruno said. Till mathematically, we're not lost. We'll keep on trying for it. So go for it.
Yeah, because we have 2 games in hand, and if we win both of them, then it's down to 8 points. Obviously, that's a lot given where we are in terms of the season. But yeah, we should just focus on winning every game. And I'm sure City, if they are going deeper in the Champions League, they are going to be resting more players. So that will only open and it'll just narrow. I think if we come under 10 points, if we are 7 or 8 points at the end of the season, I think that can be considered as a really good season for us. Because if you told me last season that we would finish 8 points behind the leaders, I would have taken it. And it looks possible, but let's see. I mean, even we are playing in the Europa League, and Ole might suddenly decide to prioritize the Europa League once we have a secure top 4. But I'm really hoping that we can narrow the lead on City. I don't think we are going to overtake them, but we can just hope for the best. Any final words, guys?
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun talking about De Gea today in particular, because this is one of the topics that we wanted to discuss for months now.
Yeah.
And it couldn't have come at a better time considering De Gea and Henderson's situation at the club. So overall, it was a great episode, in my opinion. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with Karan over here. It was really nice talking in a very civil manner, especially given our history and how we have been going through it, our lives over the past few years.
Let's not bring that up here.
Yeah, this is a nice start, and probably I'll try to join more episodes, and we'll have more interesting topics to cover up. So yeah, it was nice having this chat with everyone. Cool.
Yeah, actually, I would like to say that the main thing about the De Gea and Henderson in debate right now is that only 1 year left for him, and this summer we need to get a good defender, and now this also we have a problem. So maybe that is creating more problem on backline and the confusion on the goalkeepers who to select, because we love both.
All right. And I think on that note, it's time to say goodbye. Another episode of the Champions United podcast is done, and we'll be back soon with more episodes and more Manchester United talk. Until then, see you. Have a good time. Bye-bye.